All right. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So we have our Rafe, who has been part of our team for a while, and he recently got a job in Salesforce.com. And I mean, we are very excited to have him here to give us some overview. What are the preparations he did and how he prepared for the interview questions and whatever is involved in this whole process, like picking up if there are multiple offers, picking up the offer or talking to the recruiter and all those kind of experience we would like to hear from him. So go ahead, Rafe, whenever you're ready. Oh, is he got dropped? Oh,
no.
No.
Yeah. Naeem uncle, can you hear me all right?
Yes, well, I can hear you. Did you hear anything what I said?
Yes.
Okay,
I did.
perfect. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I was a little occupied. I'm here though.
Okay.
Okay, let me open up. Go ahead and start sharing my screen. Screen two. Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone. Like Naeem uncle said, I'm gonna just give like a presentation about kind of just my journey and my process of how I went through college and then the interview process and then how I landed a job. Alhamdulillah, I just recently started at Salesforce as a software engineer. Before that, I held a couple other positions as well. So I'm gonna just kind of go through kind of everything overview, and then inshallah at the end I'll leave some time so you guys can ask some questions. So first thing first, I'm not gonna spend too much time, but in high school, if you're, I guess this is kind of where like interest sort of develops in the field of computer science or software engineering or whatever you want to call it. I guess this is where you might make the decision that when you go to college, you want to major in computer science. I think this is a good starting point for people who have an interest already. If you have an interest already in computer science, I think it helps a lot because then you're probably interested in trying out those different things. You might have some programming experience or something, but always really good. My specific journey was a little bit different. I actually left high school after my second year. I took an exam called California High School Proficiency Exam, which allows anybody in California to leave high school after 10th grade and go straight to community college. So I went to community college and I transferred. So it's a little different, but one very similar process in the end to what somebody who would go through 4 years of high school and 4 years of college would be doing. So now once you're in college, I think this is really where I guess things really start for you. I kind of want to talk about what you should be doing in every year of college. So starting from freshman. So when you start college, if you're in a 4-year university, in a 4-year school, your first year is your freshman year. You'll most likely be taking lower division courses, which is your math, science, English, general education classes. This is your usual normal stuff. You're not really taking anything too technical. You're not taking any major related courses. So if you are doing a computer science degree, you're not really taking any programming classes. You won't really be taking many other things. You might be able to take one or two, but most of the time you'll be so busy taking other courses that you won't even end up doing it. But I do highly recommend everyone who starts their journey to start looking into programming concepts and other projects starting their first year of college. It's always a good idea to get a head start and start early. For example, people who aren't in college yet and are on this team and are working on this project, this is a wonderful thing. You're already gaining a very valuable experience towards your future right now before even getting to college. And if you're in your first year, it's wonderful also. So that's your first year of college. Your second year of college is when things get a little bit harder. You're still continuing to work on your lower division classes, nothing too serious. You start taking some more courses that actually pertain to your major. You might take some introductory programming courses. You might take some other classes like some discrete mathematic classes that can somewhat tie into programming concepts later. um, Linear algebra is another mathematics class. It's not major related, but very important for computer science when you go into other classes. um, Sophomore year, your second year, I recommend everyone to start building their resume as well if it's possible. Everybody should start getting practice on building their resume out early, because when you reach those later years and you need to apply for jobs, internships, anything, and you don't have a resume handy, right? It really kind of sets you back, because then you, in your mind, you're like, I don't have a resume, I'm not gonna apply, it's fine, I'm just gonna wait. Build your resume as soon as you can. If you don't have enough experience, then that's something you need to work on. You need to go out, work on projects, do some things on the side, and then build that experience so you can make that resume. So start building your resume, and I think everyone should start interview prep in their second year. This is a little, I guess, intimidating, because people think, I'm my second year in college. Why should I start interview prep now? It doesn't make sense for me. But interview prep actually takes quite a while. If you leave interview prep to your last year of college or your second last year, you'll have a lot more that you'll have to fill in a short amount of time, which will make it a lot more difficult for you. So it's in your best interest to start interview prep as soon as possible. Interview prep consists of a lot of things. I'll get into that later, but for now, just know in the back of your mind that in your second year, you should start looking into interview prep at a slow pace. You want to start looking into the things that people use and the things that people do to prep for interviews. You may hear leak code and a lot of other things in your hear them here and there. You want to start looking into what are these things, what can I do. Also, if you have some experience and you have a resume built, then at the end of your sophomore year, or even actually in your sophomore year, you can start applying for internships. There are some internships that actually do take sophomore level people. There are a lot of internship opportunities out there that are not just for people who know how to do everything. Everybody gets intimidated. They think, you know what, I don't know like that many coding languages, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do that, I'm not going to apply for internships. That's the worst mistake you can ever make. There are internship opportunities for every level of people who are there in freshman year, sophomore year, don't know how to code that much, only know one or two languages. There are opportunities everywhere, and I'm talking opportunities in FANG level and top 10 companies. Your Google's, Facebook, Uber, Lyft, Salesforce, tons of companies, top companies have internship opportunities for lower level or early sophomore level, freshman level people or students as well. So definitely don't think that, you know what, I'm not going to apply because I don't have the experience. You definitely want to start looking at different things during your sophomore year as well. So now I'm going to talk about interview prep and interview prep resources and really how to go about prepping for interviews. So interviews really consist, this is a little hard because it's hard to kind of explain interview prep without telling you what the interview is. But then if I tell you what the interview is, then I'm like, then you have to tell you what it's like. I couldn't really figure out what to go first, but I'll tell you guys what interview prep looks like, and then I'll go into what the interview process is like later. So in college, you're going to be taking two upper division courses they might be lower division, but these are two major related classes, which means if you're a computer science student or in some computer science major, software engineering, hardware, probably not hardware, but CSE, CS, there's a lot of other majors, informatics, you will end up taking these classes, data structures and algorithms. These two classes are the backbone to your understanding of core software engineering concepts that will be asked in interviews. So that means you want to really study and focus for these classes. I'll talk more about it later, but I know as students, everybody, we like to take easy routes here and there. I was once a student as well. I would love to kind of figure out a way to just, get by. But these two classes are very important. You definitely want to focus on them. Another huge thing, clubs are actually very are something that people actually don't think about a lot, but there are a lot of clubs on campus and in your college that will help you to start interview prep and actually go and learn concepts that you may not be able to learn in college or in your courses. So check out your algorithm clubs, check out your lead code clubs, check out any club that likes to code and stuff like that. It's amazing because you can put that on your resume. It's amazing because you'll get practice and be able to learn, and you'll be surrounded by people who actually want to excel in their career and they want to get ahead and they want to start learning those things. So that's another huge thing. Now actual, like, I think the most heard of online and resources for new prep is leak code. So interviews have a lot of algorithmic questions, which means these are actual coding questions that they ask you either during interviews or in screenings or in some other way. And the best website, I'd say, top rated website you can look at to kind of practice those questions is LeetCode. LeetCode gives you, like, I think we're about 1,500 questions, I think, total. So LeetCode has about 1,500 questions, 1,500, which is a lot of questions. You don't have to do all of them. You just need to do important questions that give you a handle on LeetCode questions. So there's specific ways and there's specific methods that you can use to kind of go through LeetCode questions to be able to get a handle on them. There's something called LeetCode patterns. There are different types of questions that fall under different patterns. So, and I believe last time I heard there's like 11 patterns or something, or maybe even less. But these patterns, once you learn them and you're able to identify what pattern can this problem falls under, then you can do a wide range of LeetCode problems. So you want to start looking to LeetCode. HackerRank is another website used very popularly. It's actually used in the interview process as well. I'll get to that later. But also very important. There's a lot of free alternatives. LeetCode gives you another version, which is LeetCode Premium, which lets you kind of gives you more access to more questions, gives you access to like solutions and other resources on LeetCode. A huge thing that LeetCode Premium also gives you is LeetCode collects data based off of what companies ask what questions in interviews. So if you get LeetCode Premium, you can actually check what were the latest questions that a specific company asked in their interviews. This is all, I think, just collected data, so I don't know how like accurate it is, but a lot of the time it helps a lot to be able to narrow down problems when you're studying for an interview or something. Another huge thing, interview prep groups and boot camps. I don't know too much about this because I never did too much about boot camps. Interview prep groups, once again, your clubs will have interview prep groups. You can look in your local community, find some friends who want to prep for interviews, find a group, get a support network, and then keep going. So now we're in our junior year. So this is your third year. This is, I think, probably the most key year in your college career. Like, it's one of the most important. Your freshman year, like, you can kind of get away with not doing too much. Your sophomore year, you know what, okay, fine, you're kind of still enjoying the college life, that's totally okay. But if you kind of haven't gotten serious by your junior year, it's kind of it's high time that you start looking into what you want to do eventually, because things go by really fast when you're in college, and sometimes you just don't get the time to look into these things that are actually really important. So in junior year, you're most likely going to start upper division coursework. Upper division coursework is courses that actually relate to your major. So these classes can be anywhere from uh, computer networks, artificial intelligence, machine learning, uh, off the top of my head, there's so many like QA classes. There's tons of different classes that you can take, and more often than not, you have an option of what classes you want to take. Usually, your lower division classes and your general education classes, math, English, science, everything is kind of set for you. You don't have an option. You have to just take them. You have to get by. But when you get to your upper division classes, you start to have more options available in choosing what classes you want to take. This is actually really, really important, because when you're at this point, you can actually uh, really start to look at what classes your university offers and see what you're interested in. Because later, when you start applying for jobs, you really understand that computer science isn't, there's no job that says computer science. Computer science isn't a job. Software engineering is a job. Data architect is a job. Data scientist is a job. Network engineer is a job. Security engineer is a job. But computer science isn't a job. There's so many things that you can really do with your degree, but you really need to figure out, like, you know, if you have an interest in something. And of course, internships are a great way to figure out what you're interested in. So once again, in your junior year, you really need to start ramping up your interview prep, and you need to start make sure your resume is good, and kind of add in all your college experience, all the things you've been working on, your projects, everything. And then you need to start applying for internships within the internship recruiting window. So this is actually one of the most important things that you can, like, if there's not much you take away, but you should take this away from this talk, is that recruiting happens on a sort of schedule in the year. So every year, internships jobs open up around September. I got this chart off of some university did some study and they posted this, but this is, everybody has a different opinion, but this is generally, this holds true. And I can say this from my personal experience. So far, I mean, everything talking about is my own experience. I may be missing some things here and there, but this is primarily very true. September is usually when schools or academic years either start for quarter system, or I believe they start earlier in August or something for semester system schools. So this is where you want to kind of start applying. So before you even enter into your junior year, you should have done everything that I listed here. So even though this is in your junior year, but you should have done this in the summer of before your junior year. Interview prep, adjusting your resume, everything should have been done before. But the thing is, internships are opened starting in September, and they kind of go all the way till like December. And then, of course, there are those people who post job postings later, all the way up to like February, March. But the top companies will most of the time open their internships around September, October. So you want to make sure you're ready to apply in September, October, and you want to start lead coding very heavily around that time as well. Because when you apply, maybe they'll get back to you in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month. Internships, they get thousands of applications. It's a very difficult process, and it's very difficult to get responses back. And so another thing, ratio for internships, they say it's like if you get like a 10% or a 10, actually maybe in like 1% response rate, like that's actually considered good. That means after like 100 jobs you'll apply for, you may get 1 or 2 responses. This is very true. You have to really apply to a lot of jobs. You want to make sure you're applying to jobs like at least 10 a week or something. Just you want to keep applying. There's tons of postings out there, and you want to make sure you just keep applying. So make sure of this, keep this schedule in mind in your sophomore year, junior year, senior year also. We'll get to senior year next, but so you want to make sure that you're ready to be applying in this cycle. So another huge thing now. Now we'll get to what are interviews actually like. The technical interviews for most software engineering positions follow like this typical process. So there's a lot of, I mentioned there's a lot of different jobs that you can apply for, right? There's like so many different things, but one of the most top or hot positions is your general software engineer, right? You want to software engineering positions at top companies give you a lot of flexibility because they teach you a lot of things and you get to learn a lot of things in your first year if you're a new grad. So I'm just basing this based off of your generic interview process for something like that. So first you have your screenings, then you have your actual live interviews, and then you have your offer if you get to that point. In your screenings, usually you have something like an HR screener. Actually, sorry, no, before even an HR screening, you have a resume screening. A lot of times big companies use AI or just resume screeners that literally take your resume and they look for words. They literally look for the correct words and the correct experiences on your resume, which means if your resume isn't up to par, you will immediately be dropped and you won't even get a response. And 3 months later, they'll send you a response saying that, thank you very much, we decided to move forward with a different candidate. You need to make sure that your resume is really checking off the things that that job posting is listing. There's a specific thing called tailoring your resume. So when you want to apply for an important job, or like let's say a top company job, you want to make sure that all those buzzwords that are listed in the job description are in your resume. A lot of the time you may have the experience, but you just forget to mention that 1 or 2 words. So make sure you go through your resume, everything is good. After that is a HR screening. So a lot of companies, what they do is their HR department will call you, or the recruiter will call you, and she'll ask you a couple questions, like questions about straight from your resume, like, what is this? I see that you have this on your resume. What was this project? What was this like? What is your experience? What are you looking for in a position? Your general questions. I'm not going too deep into what type of questions they'll ask you. You can kind of find those online with a quick Google search. So if anybody does want some help later, you guys feel free to reach out to me later. But those are like your general screening questions. After that screening, there's probably another screening that they're going to do. 90% of companies will throw you a HackerRank or a technical screening interview, or whatever you want to call it. It's like an exam. It's literally like a test. It's like a timed 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, whatever it is, coding assessment that they will email you that you'll have to do. So this is where leak code comes in handy, because a lot of people can't even get past this one. This is their first level of screening to see that you can actually get the job done. You will be given a coding assessment and you're going to have to go on. It's a lot of the time there's a website called HackerRank. A lot of companies use HackerRank to do their coding screenings or their coding assessments. There's CodeSignal. CodeSignal is used by Databricks and Square and some other hot new companies. And CodeSignal is very, very difficult. So CodeSignal is a very rigorous one. It's usually 4 questions in like an hour and 20 minutes. It's really difficult, super time crunch. And if you don't, those companies that use it give very high salaries and are very difficult to get into. So
are these screenings online or offline?
These are all online. So 99%.
You're in front of camera, right?
So that's not always true. So code signal, most companies actually require you to turn on your camera, but HackerRanks, most of the time, they don't ask you to turn on your camera. They may monitor your browsing or your screen, but they'll notify you if they're tracking that. They usually can see if your mouse or your attention is diverted from that main browser. If like you click on something else, they'll know that you clicked on something else. So I understand that it's unethical to kind of use other resources during screening interviews like this.
Mhm.
I don't, I highly suggest if it's proctored, don't do anything that's going to get you in trouble. Just study hard and get it done.
Yeah, get it the right way. Yeah.
Yeah, do it the right way, like study hard, you'll be able to do it fine. Uh, there are people who have other ways to get through these types of screenings, but trust me, you're better off being able to do this without any help, because if you cheat your way through this, then you'll get stopped in the next round. Because in the next round, in your technical and behavioral interview, you have to do those questions, maybe harder, in front of someone. Now you have your live interviews. In your live interviews, you have same coding assessments, but this time you're doing it in front of someone. So you have the hiring manager or some sort of lead software engineer or somebody else sitting on the other side of the camera. At least now, since we're in a remote world, sitting on the other side of the camera. If we were in person, then very possible you would go into an office and you would whiteboard the question. Whiteboarding means they legitimately give you a whiteboard and you would have to write the code on that whiteboard. So do any companies use non-leak code questions? I'll be really honest. Leak code has a lot of questions, but there's no way you can have every single question on the planet like be on leak code. It's not possible. Basically, leak code will help you understand the problems and give you a huge amount of problems to do, but a lot of companies will have their own spin on questions. HackerRank, every company will change the wording of the questions, throw in, like, if you remember from elementary school, your teacher told you, okay, problem solving questions, right? Read the instructions, throw out the useless information, and take the information that's important, right? They will throw in a lot of useless information into the question to throw you off. HackerRank does that a lot. So yes, some companies do use non-leak code questions. Any company that uses extremely non-standard questions, very weird companies, like, I'll be very honest, if you're a genius, you'll get by, you'll be fine. But if you're not, I mean, don't feel bad. Some companies just like to do weird stuff. I mean, move on, apply for somebody else.
And especially
Okay,
like you said, there are so many companies out there.
exactly,
Even if
exactly.
you got
And
a rejection from few, this doesn't make too much difference.
exactly, yes, there's tons of companies, you'll find someone. Also, yeah, Naimbai, thank you for the questions. If you guys have questions, feel free to interrupt me, because I want this to be more like a discussion rather than just me giving you a lecture. Because I'm literally just like talking through like my experiences and things I just learned along the way. So any questions, feel free to bring it up. So another huge thing is your coding questions that are live. Then you have this other different beast called system design questions. So system design questions are usually more experienced or higher level software engineers or people with more experiences usually have to do this. Of course, your top FANG companies, Google, Amazon, Facebook, they will ask even new grad level people system design questions. What is system design questions? System design questions is a question like this. They'll ask you, design Facebook. They'll throw out this very open-ended question, which is to design some sort of system or explain the process of designing a system. So inside system design, there's a lot of different important things that you have to cover. You start by going over the system's requirements. This is all based off of core fundamental computer science concepts that you learn. You want to go over, like think about this. If we wanted to design MHMA's website that we have right now, right? You would go over, okay, what are the requirements? The requirements are, we need a payment system. We need to collect user information. We need to do some other few things. I'm just gonna kind of go through it. It's gonna take too long if I actually did it. Okay, next, now you want to go through like the stack. You want to see like, what are we using? Okay, front end, we're using React to kind of build our front end components. We're hosting on Heroku. Okay, we are backend, we're using MongoDB to store our data, and to build our REST API endpoints, we're using Express. There you go. You talk through that, and then you talk about database stuff. There's a lot of different things that you can go over, but that's a general overview. A very quick overview. There's a lot more things that you'll have to actually talk about when you get to system design questions. There's a lot of good YouTube videos out there that you can watch. And I have some notes. If anybody wants those, I can send them over afterwards for any students or anything like that. Now, after your system design questions, now I consider this to be the easy part. Now you have your behavioral questions. Why do you want to work at our company? Tell me an example of something in a project where you struggled, or tell me a point where you had to work with a team. Tell me a point where you had to work with someone who you couldn't have you had trouble working with someone. A lot of tons of questions. So these questions are, you really want to use your experiences for these questions. So luckily, I was able to quickly on the spot find answers for these questions, because I had an internship that I worked at. And then, actually, sometimes when I answered these questions, I did actually bring up experiences from working with everyone here on our project. General things that happen in every day when you work with people on these projects is what you're going to use to answer these questions. You want to be natural when you answer these questions, and you want to be able to give them without taking too much time. When you answer behavioral questions, you don't want to sound like a robot and memorize the answer. Of course, one thing you should do, though, is you should Google behavioral questions that a company asks. You should not write out, maybe just, you should write out. It's definitely a good idea. I mean, to each his own. I personally found out if I wrote out a behavioral question answer, it would force me to kind of memorize it. And I didn't want to do that. So what I did is I just thought about 2 or 3 example answers that I could give. And then I would kind of build it out on spot when I answer those questions. So these questions are not too bad. Yeah, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, Rafi. Thank you for the presentation. It's actually really informative. I was just actually wondering, so when we were doing all these leak code questions, and when we were trying to practice for the coding interview, um, what percentage of the topics and knowledge which you need to pass the questions, would you actually, would you actually learn from like your college classes? Is there any like self-learning going on in here where you have to just at least maybe like 30% of coding questions are just like something you have to learn by yourself, or are they mainly going to be like topics you'll learn in your uh basic CS classes, or does it like depend?
So I'll give you a straight answer and then I'll get into it. College teaches you nothing about passing software engineering interviews. College does not prepare you for interview questions. College prepares you to understand how to answer or how to code when you answer those questions. So, like I said, college will teach you a lot of things, but specifically how to pass an interview is not something that they will teach you how to do. Other than those 2 classes that I mentioned, algorithms and data structures, or you probably take data structures first. Those 2 classes will teach you the core fundamentals that you will use to answer every single leak code question. But just by taking those 2 classes doesn't mean you can solve every leak code question. You have to go and do leak code questions yourself, put in the effort and learn how to do those questions, and then you'll be able to actually solve those questions. Most of the time, college won't really college doesn't teach you how to solve LeetCode questions, simply put. Data structures and algorithms teaches you core concepts that you need to understand to be able to solve those questions though. So I hope that answers your question. So now after behavioral questions, another thing is the interview process is pretty long for software engineering, and it's not just going to be all at once. You know, you may have an HR screening, which is one thing, then you have a take-home assessment, coding assessment, then you may have multiple technical rounds. So not just one time you have to code, maybe 2 or 3 times, maybe more. I think on average, maybe like 2 rounds. Entry-level positions usually have like 1 or 2, I'd say, nothing too crazy. But it really depends on the company. FANG will grill you like crazy. FANG being Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google. These companies are very tough, and they will grill you in the interview process. They will ask you, maybe they'll give you at least 2 technical rounds, maybe more. They'll give you a behavioral round. They'll give you a system design question. It'll be very difficult. Now,
this is true for the entry-level engineers too, right?
Yes, entry-level engineers, it really differs based off the company. So me personally, I interviewed at 2 different places. I interviewed at a startup, and then I interviewed at Salesforce. My startup actually had a harder interview process than Salesforce. Salesforce, I had 2 technical rounds pretty much, and that was it. I didn't even have like a screening round. It really differs based off of person and company. So in my
So
sorry.
did you also did you apply in the Salesforce directly, or did you have someone refer you?
Yes, referral. So I was gonna get to that.
Okay,
Thanks
great.
for bringing it up. Actually, I forgot to mention it. Referrals are extremely important when it comes to applying for jobs. I actually should have mentioned it. I did forget. When you apply for internships, so this screening, right? When you apply for internships, this screening is actually separated into 2 pools. You have your referred people and you have your unreferred people, which means if you have 1,000 people applying for a job and you have 100 of them having referrals and 800 not, they will look at those 200 people or 100 people with referrals first, and they'll look at those 800 later. That means the chances of you getting through an interview process or getting an interview with a referral are way higher than without a referral. I understand as freshmen or new college grads, you guys are extremely shy. You don't want to go out and ask for referrals, but trust me, uncles, your parents, friends, everybody is very willing and very helpful to give you a referral. You need to go out and you need to ask, can I get a referral? Hi, my name is this. I am graduating this year. I'm at this college. I would like to apply at your company. Would you be willing to give me a referral? That's it. What's going to happen? If they're not comfortable giving you a referral, they'll say no. Otherwise, you'll get a referral. And the chances of you getting that job are way higher. So you 100% want to take advantage of referrals. There are tons of people in our local community. There are tons of people that are in your extended community that have a lot of connections for referrals. So thank you for reminding me about it. That's definitely a huge thing that you want to take advantage of. So definitely look into referrals, especially when it comes to a big important company. If you are applying at FANG or a top company, you want to increase the chance of you getting as much as possible. So what you want to do is you want to get a referral, and you want to make sure that your interview, your resume, and all your everything is set up perfectly for that job, and then it increases your chance of getting in way more. So there you go. And now the last thing, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but offer and salary negotiation. So inshallah, I hope all you guys are able to reach that point. But when you do reach there and you get that call back, they're gonna be, okay, we'd like to give you an offer, and they'll give you some numbers or something. You don't want to be lowballed. At the same time, you don't want to overstretch your capacity too much. A great website, absolutely wonderful. Actually, a Muslim individual, I forget his name, he made this website called levels.fyi, where he collects salary data for different companies. So you can go and look at how much anybody makes at what company. Um, Companies have different levels, entry level, like, and different levels. So you can go see how much a software engineer, a full stack software engineer, or like a software engineer, some other field makes at Google, Facebook, Amazon, everywhere. And you can see how much they make. You can go and look at the company that you're applying to and see how much did people who also got that type of job, how much are they making? And you can use that as a reference point when you kind of go and negotiate your salary. A lot of good YouTube videos about negotiating salary. One few quick things. If you have multiple offers, you can pitch them against each other and then try to increase the amount you get. One thing real quick, you don't want to bring up how much some other company offered you when you're in salary negotiation. It's just general etiquette. Also, if you plainly put how much somebody else is offering you, then that company knows. You want to kind of just be a little ambiguous and say, hey, you know what, I don't think you would like me to share how much you're offering me with a different company. So something similar, I can't share the details of the other offer, but I can tell you that I cannot, that I'm being offered something better than this. Inside your salaries, you have your base salary, you have your bonuses, and you have your stocks, right? So salaries will usually give you some sort of base salary. This is something that you can probably negotiate. And then bonuses, starting bonus, relocation bonus, or some other types of bonus. Starting bonus is the biggest thing, and then stocks. This is extremely dependent upon what company and where you apply and what type of position you get. Somebody who got the same job as me, maybe a different group or a different team, may be getting an entirely different salary, or may not be getting any bonus or anything like that. So of course, if you apply at a top company, Facebook, Google, Amazon, these companies all usually give you some kind of bonus, stocks, and base salary. So definitely look into that when you're at that point. So now your last year, right? Your last year, you hopefully at this point, you completed your summer internship, or you have 1 or 2 internships, or some kind of project experience or something. I didn't say this, but real quick, if you don't land an internship, then you need to be working on some kind of project. What we're doing here is a wonderful experience that you're getting. If you don't have an internship, no worries. Continue working on this project and gain really valuable experience and put it on your resume. There you go. You can consider this as your internship. You're working on MHMA web application, and there you go. This is a huge experience that you just got. So projects and work experience, internships, and something else, clubs also, great things to put on. Now in your senior year, this is when you're finishing up college and you're kind of almost done, almost out, Now, a lot of companies, if you intern at like a top company in your junior summer or before your senior year, a lot of the time, if you did well, then they'll extend you a full-time offer. And you know what, if you get that, alhamdulillah, you're set. You're able to kind of tell them accept that offer, and then continue with them once you graduate. They'll do that sometimes. Depends upon the company. You can also take that offer, continue to apply to other places, and you know what, if you find something better, then you go with that option. Another thing I just put in here, like I was saying, you really want to use your senior year and even like a little bit of your junior year to kind of really look at the coursework you're taking and understand what it is, and really explore different types of career paths in computer science. There's a lot of different things you can do. One huge one, software engineering, is full stack backend software engineering. That's huge. Like web application development, mobile application development. Those are 2 huge things. Another huge thing, data science. Data science also falls kind of within computer science. You can major in data science, or you can major in computer science and then go into data science or data analytics. Two entire different paths. The process is somewhat similar, not exactly the same, but you know what? Depending upon what type of internship you got, you may like something different or realize that, hey, I don't like this or I like this. I actually, in my junior year summer, I interned as a data analyst. I was working as a data analyst at an insurance company, and I did like what I was doing there. I thought it was cool. It was very similar to data science work, machine learning, all that stuff. But I kind of realized that I wanted to switch gears. I wanted to do software engineering instead. The reason is kind of multiple things. First
No,
of
no, good to
all,
see it. I can tell you before you explain anything. That is a
uh,
great moment. Software engineering is the way to go. I mean,
yes, exactly.
I know
Yeah.
you're going to explain. I for sure I'm all ears to hear that. But I advise everyone before you explain. I know you will give a good explanation.
Mhm.
But software engineering is a way to go.
Yep, yep. No, thank you so much, Nimoko, for that. Yeah. Software engineering is a very wide field. You can go into many different tracks when you are a software engineer. When you have software engineer written on your resume, you are recognized as somebody important. You are understood that this person has what it takes to do different things. Later on, you can switch tracks. Another huge thing, software engineering is probably where you get paid the most. The salaries of other fields don't hold up to software engineering. Right now, software engineering, especially full stack software engineering. So the project that you guys are working on right now is a full stack project. Full stack software engineers on average get paid probably the most out of any other computer science field. So, I mean, straightforward, more money, more options. Um, just the benefits are too great for going into for software engineering. And that's why I said at the start, software engineering is a job, computer science is a major. So definitely you want to find a software engineering position, which is the best thing. But at the same time, if you end up doing data science or something else, some QA or some networking, and you just for some reason fall in love with that field or that niche field, that you know what, I don't care about money, I don't care about like software engineering, I like doing this, I enjoy this, then you know what, I mean, the pay difference isn't that crazy. Go for it if you like it. But software engineering is definitely the best kind of position you want to hold or you want to go into. Now, towards the in your senior year, very similar to your junior year, you're going to be applying for jobs, same time window to start of the school year. Get back on lead code, get ready for interviews, stuff like that. But you're going to be applying for new grad roles. New grad roles are roles specifically for people who are about to graduate. So people who are about to, just like I said, there are roles for people who are in freshman, sophomore year, junior year. There's all types of internships and roles. Now there's full-time positions that you can apply for right before you graduate, saying that, hey, I'm graduating now. Those are called new grad roles. If you literally go on LinkedIn right now and write software engineering, new grad, you'll find tons of positions that will have the same, very similar job experiences, saying that this is this, graduating in this time frame. So you definitely want to look into that. Okay, now postgrad, alhamdulillah, if you, so now postgrad, now if you graduated and you have no offer and you were in my position. So I want to say this, I kind of walked you through something that you should be doing. You know, life doesn't always give you options to do what you want to do. So for me, I just didn't know these things. I didn't know these things at the right time, and I got onto them too late. So I feel very energetic talking about this subject because I want to stop other people from making the same mistakes I did. So I did not work on lead code in my sophomore year. Neither did I work on my junior year. I did a little bit in my junior. I finally got serious about lead code in my final year of college, which is very late and very stressful because now I have a lot more work to do in a very short time frame. So things get a lot harder, especially after you graduate. So one thing you want to understand is your market value as a new grad or as a undergrad graduate is declining as time goes on. When you graduate is when you have the highest marketability. I'm not sure if that's even a word, but you can market yourself a lot higher when you graduate with that degree because people are looking for fresh grads for new grad roles. New grad roles are everywhere, but new grad roles usually have like graduated between this and this time, right? Now, if you have no offer and you graduated and you're then you go lead code, then you do things, then everything is delayed a lot. And you may miss your train, you may miss the bus, and you may not be able to get those new grad roles. You may end up getting pushed into a role that you didn't like or is not that great. So you don't want to do this, but at the same time, there's still hope, like, I mean, I want you to not do what I did, but at the same time, I want you guys to understand that computer science is actually a very forgiving field. If you do this in med school or a different field in medicine or bio, you don't have this opportunity, right? If you delay things, you're over. Like things are very difficult. In computer science, everybody is hiring. Everybody needs somebody in this field. You'll find a job eventually. So alhamdulillah, it's a blessing in being in this field, but at the same time, you may not find the best job ever. And then you may have to work for a few years and then apply later. So definitely try to stay on track. Now, I think this is the last thing I'm going to talk about, and then I'll open up for questions. I'm sorry, I think I went really over already, but last thing. So now, how do you succeed in your internships and your first job, right? This is pink, very important. So I know this new generation has this idea of work-life balance. I'm gonna get a job 9 to 5, get off work, and live my life. I'm sorry to say, but as a new grad or working your internship, throw work-life balance out the window. You don't have a work-life balance. In order to excel in your internship, to be able to land that full-time job, you may have to put in a couple extra hours. Don't listen to what the company is going to say. The people in the human resource department are going to tell you, you need to log off after 5 and then you need to go live your life, do whatever you need to do. That's not how it works. You want to excel, you put in a couple extra hours and you will be noticed later. You'll be noticed in how much work you get done. That's not to say that if you can get done all your work and even more in that amount of time, then you can get off. That's fine. But you really want to work hard in your first internship. You want to be open. You want to be reaching out to people. You want to be making connections. When you are in your internship, this is your golden time. You want to reach out to as many people as possible, and you want to be able to do as much work as possible, because this is where you're able to learn as much as you can, and then use that experience later. Same thing with your first job. You want to work really hard at the start, and then eventually you'll burn yourself out. You slow down a little, but you want to, at least for the first initial bit, internships, you want to just go work your way through it. First job, 6 months to a year, get promoted, and then you can slow down a little, but you really want to put in a lot of effort at the start. I understand, it may not be too much fun, but this is in your best interest. So that's the last thing I really had to say. I just want to say that. And now, if you guys have any questions, we can open it up. Sorry, I went really long. I actually didn't.
No, I think this is
yeah.
great, Rafi.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you again, but this
Yeah,
is
no
great,
worries.
and I think you should probably consider this also, mentoring. You have great qualities in terms of explaining and going over. You are very detail oriented, so you should consider doing this maybe as a profession also. This is good.
Thank you.
I'm very impressed, really. One other thing I wanted to ask you was about what is your day like at work? I mean, have you already started, right? I mean,
Yes. So I started pretty recently at Salesforce. So it really depends on what type of company you work for. So I worked at a startup first, and then I eventually left that startup to join Salesforce. So my first week at the startup was very intense. I was able to set up the code base and get my first ticket and start working within the first week. It was very fast paced and it was very stressful. And that's what startups are like. If you work at a startup, they will work you very hard. At a bigger company, things move a little slowly. Your first week, maybe even your first month, will be onboarding, getting you set up, and then a lot of things moving slowly, getting you access to certain tools, things like that. So my day right now is actually pretty lenient. If I have some sort of usually like Monday we'll have like a scrum meeting, just like we have. The whole team gets on and gives their updates, and then kind of says what they're working on. They also have like sprint planning meetings every 2 weeks. Um, so meetings, emails, and then kind of going through set up things, and then kind of just continuing to onboard, I guess. That's me right now. I'm assuming this is only going to last for a little bit more. And then inshallah, once I'm set up, then I'm going to start, I guess, learning how to use the tools, and then
so
kind
what
of
are
start
you,
actually getting things done.
unless, I mean, if it's something you cannot share, I mean, don't share, but what is it, are you going to be doing or building any specific?
Yeah, sure. I can talk about that. So I'm at Salesforce. I'm a full stack software engineer. That was the position I got. And then I'm on a specific team called the lists team. So Salesforce has a lot of different products, and their core platform, or their core products, or a lot of their products have this core tool called lists in them. So basically it's like a UI framework that kind of displays data in a list format. So it's kind of like, you can say, a cloud-based Excel, where every single entry is like an object, and those and different entries in your lists can be related to another. So they have like lists and related lists. I'm still very new to it. I have trouble understanding it myself, but basically they have like a platform and a front end team. So they have like a back end front end team that deals with all issues and everything development related to that specific core tool, I guess, which is lists. So any issues or any problems that that customers face when using that specific part of the Salesforce product, that problem or that ticket will get sent to my team.
So is this something their own framework, or is
yes. So Salesforce uses a lot of I guess what's the correct word? They don't use like tools that everybody else uses. They use proprietary. Yes, they use proprietary software. So they use their own stack. They have their own front end framework. They have their own like backend framework. Like they don't use SQL. They have something called Sockle. They don't use like React or something. They have called Lightning UI framework. They have their own proprietary stuff, which is based off of some other things in the deep down, but on the front end, it's very different. So I mean, Salesforce is like a different beast. There's a lot of things that you have to learn to kind of get integrated in. So I mean, that's why Salesforce is a really nice company, alhamdulillah. So they kind of help you to kind of go through the process to learn all those things. So I guess right now I'm gonna start working on a few things. I think they started me with like tests and some other things, and then slowly, inshallah, probably get ramped up as I learn more and more.
Also, I just had one more question.
Go ahead.
When you had, you're saying you had like an internship during college, right?
Sorry, so can you say that again?
You had were you able to like do an internship during your college year?
Yeah. So during college, I had one internship only. So like I said, I was pretty late. Luckily I got one internship, but that internship was a data analyst position. So yeah, I did hold one internship though as a data analyst during my time at college.
So, like, how are you able to balance college life, classes, and like maintaining your like dorm and stuff, and then also maintain like a part-time job? Is it like how many classes were you taking that semester?
So internships are usually summer internships. So a lot of the time internships will be in the summer. So you will have um, you could take classes while you do a summer internship, or you could not. So usually summer internships, it's really nice that way because if you don't take summer classes, your internship will go uninterfered. You'll have no problems whatsoever, which is really nice. Sometimes what you can do after you complete an internship is you can go part-time, which is what I did. So after I completed my internship, I actually went part-time and continued to work for that company throughout my last year at UCI. So I probably should have said this at the start, but I graduated from UCI with my bachelor's in computer science. So throughout my last year at UCI, I took, I think first quarter, I took 3 upper division CS classes, and I was working part-time, studying lead code and doing a lot of things. It was quite a lot and I did kind of burn out, but if you balance things properly, working a part-time job as well as school is possible if you are able to kind of balance that and not take too great of a workload. A friend of mine actually recently, he got a job. He hasn't graduated yet. He had 2 quarters left at UCI, and he got a full-time position from Salesforce. Also, I was studying with him. He actually, throughout his last year, right now still is, he's taking upper division computer science classes. So he's a full-time student, or a part-time student, as well as full-time working. So he's working 40 hours a week, but also part-time school. So these things are very doable. You just have to be able to correctly time manage yourself. Internships usually in the summer, so you're good though.
All right, that's great. Anyone else has any questions? I think I can go on and on, but this is great information. I think I'm going to share this with probably a lot of people, because this is very useful information. Like earlier said, Rafi, I'm really impressed with the way you have presented it and the way you have organized this presentation. This is great.
Thank you, Naeem bhai.
And I'm also very, excited and proud also that you learned stuff from this group also, and then were able to use it in your interview process or the application.
Oh yes, alhamdulillah. I know it's hard for everybody who hasn't reached where I am yet to really appreciate, or maybe, if they do, alhamdulillah, that's wonderful. But this is a absolutely golden experience. You may not see it now, but this type of experience, not everybody has this type of opportunity to work in this type of setting. The tools that everybody's using here and the things that you guys are doing are literally top of the line. I said it to multiple people before, but this could quite literally just land you a job straight up. This one experience, if you're able to market it correctly on your resume, this is like an amazing thing.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else has any questions for Rafael? I think it's getting late, so
Yeah. I'm sorry it took really long, but
no,
yeah,
it's
inshallah,
okay. I think thank you so much, Rafi, and I think you're still part of our team and would like you to stay there, help groom others as well.
Yes, inshallah.
Really want to benefit from your experience in this community. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, wa alaikum assalam.